You can be more. When I was young, I was very lazy. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to study. I only wanted to eat, sleep, and do nothing. Every day I sat at home and watched the world outside. I thought life was easy and I didn't need to do anything hard. I believed my father would always give me everything I needed. He worked and I just lived. That was my simple idea of life. My father was a quiet man. He worked hard from morning to night. He never complained. He just worked. Sometimes he looked tired, but he still went to work the next day. He gave me food, clothes, and a place to sleep. My mother also told me, "You must learn something. You must do something with your life." But I didn't listen. I thought I was fine. I thought I didn't need to change. Time passed, and I kept living the same way. I was older now, but I still did nothing. I had no job. I had no skill. I had no goal. I didn't think about the future. I only thought about today. Then one day, everything changed. My father died. It was fast. It was painful. My world fell apart. I didn't know what to do. Now it was just me and my mother. But she was sick. Her back and legs were weak. She couldn't walk well. She couldn't work. She stayed in bed most of the time. I looked at her and realized I was the only one left. I had to help. I had to take care of both of us. But how? I didn't know anything. I had no job. I had no money. I had nothing. So I went to the street. I stood near shops and asked people for help. I said, "Please, can you give me food? Can you give me some money?" Some people helped. Some people said no. I felt shame. I felt pain. I looked at myself and thought, what have I become? I'm not a child anymore. I must do better. Then one day a man saw me in front of a bakery. He looked at me for a moment and walked closer. He said, "Why are you standing here?" I told him everything. I said, "I don't have a job. My father is gone. My mother is sick. I don't know what to do." He looked at me kindly, then said something that changed my life. He said, "You are not weak. You are not useless. You are more than this. You have power inside you. Use it. Find it. Respect yourself. Don't live like this. You can be better. You must be better." I looked at him and felt something new. I felt hope. That night I could not sleep. The man's words were in my head. "You are more than this. Respect yourself." I kept thinking about what he said. For the first time in my life, I asked myself, who am I? What can I do? I looked at my hands. They were strong. I looked at my legs. They could walk. My body was healthy. I had no reason to live like this. I had to try. I had to start. The next morning, I got up early. I washed my face. I looked in the mirror and said, "You will change." I walked to a nearby store and asked, "Can I help you?" "I don't want money. I just want to learn." The shopkeeper was surprised. He looked at me and said, "Okay, help me clean the floor." I smiled and said, "Yes, thank you." I cleaned the floor. I moved boxes. I helped customers. I didn't stop. I worked all day. I was tired, but I was also happy. I went back the next day and the day after that. The shopkeeper started teaching me how to use the cash machine. He showed me how to talk to people. He said, You learn fast." "That is good." After 1 week, he gave me some money. I said thank you. This is the first money I ever earned. I went home and gave it to my mother. She cried. She said, "I am proud of you." My heart was full. For the first time, I felt like a real man. I felt strong. I didn't stop there. I started helping more people. I worked at other shops too. I watched. I listened. I learned. People saw me change. They said, "You are not the same boy. You are better now." I smiled. I was becoming someone new. Now, every day, I try to be better. I read books. I talk to smart people. I ask questions. I try to learn one new thing each day. My life is still hard, but I am not afraid. I am not lazy. I know I can grow. I know I have value. That man in the street gave me a gift, a new way to see myself. One day, I saw a boy sitting near a shop. He looked tired and hungry. He had no shoes, and his clothes were old. I sat next to him and asked, "Are you okay?" He looked at me and said, "I'm hungry. I have no home." I looked into his eyes and saw myself. I said, "I was like you before." I took him to a small food stand. I bought him some bread and water. He smiled and said, "Thank you." I told him my story. I said, "You can change too. You are not weak. You just need to believe in yourself." The boy listened. His eyes were wide. He asked, "Can I really change?" I said, "Yes. I believe you can." After that day, I started helping more people like him. I did not have much money, but I had time. I listened to them. I gave them advice. I told them not to give up. Some people laughed at me. They said, "You are not rich. Why do you help others?" But I didn't care. I remembered my past. I remembered how one person changed my life with only a few words. I told the boy to find small jobs. I told him to clean, carry things, or help in stores. I said, "You don't need much to start. Just start." The boy nodded. A week later, I saw him again. He was sweeping the street. He smiled and said, "I got a job." I smiled back and said, "I knew you could do it." This made me feel strong. Helping others helped me too. I felt proud. I felt useful. I was no longer the lazy boy who waited for food. I was now a man who worked, helped, and inspired others. I had changed, and now I was helping others to change too. The boy I helped was not the only one. Soon more people came to me. They asked me, "How did you change?" I told them my story. I said, "I was lazy. I waited for others to help me. But then one man told me I had value. That changed me. I started going to parks and busy streets. I talked to people who were lost, sad, or poor. I told them, 'You are not weak. You can do more.' Some people listened, some did not. But I kept going. I wanted to give hope, just like someone gave hope to me. One day, I saw the same man who had changed my life. He was older now. I ran to him and said, "Do you remember me?" He looked at me and smiled. "Yes," he said. "I see you are different now." I said, "Yes, because of your words. You saved me." He was happy. He said, "Now you are saving others. Keep going. The world needs people like you." His words made me feel strong again. I knew my journey was not over. I wanted to help more people. I wanted to make a difference. My life had changed so much. I was no longer the lazy boy who waited for help. I was strong. I was working. I was helping others. People in my town began to know me. They called me the kind helper. It made me proud, but also careful. I didn't want to go back to my old self. One night I sat with my mother. She looked at me and said, "I am proud of you." Her words made my heart warm. She said, "Your father would be proud too." I had tears in my eyes. I remembered my father. I remembered how he worked hard every day. I did not understand him before, but now I did. I told my mother, "I will never stop trying. I want to be strong for you, for me, and for others." She smiled and said, "That is all I ever wanted." I felt happy. I felt full of purpose. For the first time, I was proud of myself. The next day, I woke up early. I cleaned the house. I cooked breakfast for my mother. Then I went out to help a neighbour fix his shop. I smiled as I worked. I was tired, but it was a good kind of tired. It came from doing something useful. I knew life would not always be easy, but now I had a reason to wake up. I had a reason to keep going. I had found my strength, and I wanted to use it to build a better life, for me and for everyone around me. One afternoon, I saw a young boy sitting by the road. He looked lost. He was dirty and hungry. I walked to him and said, "Are you okay?" He looked at me with sad eyes and said, "I have nothing. No food, no place to go." I saw myself in him. I remembered those hard days. I gave him some food. I sat with him and listened. His story was like mine. I told him, "You are not alone. You are strong. You can change your life." He didn't believe me at first, but I smiled and said, "I was like you once. Look at me now." He looked surprised. I took him to the shop where I worked. I asked my boss, "Can he help us here?" The boss looked at the boy and said, "If he is ready to work, yes." The boy smiled for the first time. It was small, but full of hope. That smile made me feel something I never felt before. That day, I learned something important. Helping others helps you too. I became someone who could give, not just take. I was no longer weak. I was no longer waiting for help. I had become the help. I had become the person I once needed. Now, every time I see someone in need, I remember that man in the street, the one who told me, "You are more than this." His words changed my life. And now I try to give those same words to others. Because everyone has value, everyone can change.